Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of ArmA Mods Weekly. This week, we have some exciting mods and custom missions to talk about, including a Half-Life 2 inspired mission, a mod that takes us back in time, and a mission that puts us in the shoes of a true detective. Before we get into the meat of things, let me just remind you that most footage you see was recorded from our Looping Reel Gaming channel, which is the Let's Play channel run by me and my friends Ryan and Greg. The link to the Looping Reel Gaming channel can be found in the description down below, and if you want to see a lot more awesome Arma 3 content, then please head on over and subscribe if you like what you see. All missions and mods can also be downloaded through the links provided in the description as well. For our first item, we will discuss the Vietcong Mission 3 for the Unsung Vietnam mod for Arma 3. This particular mission might require some explanation, but at the same time I might as well take the opportunity to discuss this entire mini-campaign. These recreations of the classic Vietcong missions are created by the mission maker Abraxas. He has done the prologue mission and the 2 follow-up missions in the past. There was a large gap of silence before we finally got a new release with the 3rd mission a couple of days ago. From what I understand, not too long before, another creator uploaded an entire campaign of Vietcong as well. Though what I understand is that most of the audio is in a different language than in English, and is therefore a bit immersion breaking for some. I haven't taken a look at this one yet though, but will do so in the future. For Abraxas' mission though, I have to say that he has done an excellent job at translating this tense and realistic feeling of the old Vietcong game to Arma. The triggers all work really well, and the levels and missions are full of details. Vietcong is still considered by many as the best Vietnam experience, with the only downside nowadays that the graphics look like crap. Seeing the mission play out in Arma 3 engine is absolutely beautiful, thanks to the lush environments provided in the stunning Unsung mod. Abraxas makes good use of the audio straight from the classic game, and you are still tasked with giving sit-raps after completing certain tasks, adding to the realistic feeling. The gameplay might be a bit slow for some, but those would find the old Vietcong game slow in the same sense. I personally love it, and all the NPCs are very similar looking to the old game characters as well. The cool thing is, as I said before, is that to many Vietcong was, or is, the best experience one could get regarding single-player Vietnam gameplay. With these missions now slowly being ported over to Arma 3, I would now argue that these custom missions are the best experience one can find. I hope that more people will discover these missions made by Abraxas to also give him a boost on making some more in the future. Everything is well calculated, including in this last mission he made. From triggers to where you can choose whether to attack a VC patrol or let them pass, to disabling booby traps and destroying small camps, followed by of course a sit-rap back to base. A cool addition in the future iterations is maybe multiplayer support, though I could also see that some people would find that even slower than it is now. But as said before, I personally am a fan of the slower gameplay, and thus it will be a real treat to experience these awesome creations with friends. For the second item that we will take a look at, we have the recently released Blood and Iron mod, that brings us the setting of the Franco-Prussian War. It is always good to see another total conversion mod, changing the rules and setting of Arma completely. We've had similar mods in the past, including the World War I mod and the Napoleonic Wars mod. Both had in common that they were fairly small in size, with only a handful of units to choose from and not a lot of maps that did not feel very complete. Blood and Iron shares that commoncy as well, but for a first release, it is pretty decent. What is going to test this mod, to separate it from the earlier mentioned mods, is if the developers can keep updates coming to add more units and maps to make things more interesting. Currently the mod comes with one map set in the French countryside. The map itself is not too big, but it does portray a good job of conveying the flat countryside terrain that battles were fought on. The roads curl alongside giant trees, and even some hints can be found here and there of some settlements or towns. But overall, the map still feels pretty empty. But hopefully in the next updates to come, more details and props will be added. The good news is that more props are available through the editor, including tents, a few buildings, and defenses for the battlefield. Both Prussia and France are represented in this mod, and both sides get a handful of different infantry units. The units themselves look very nice and distinctly different. Details on their helmets, hats, or uniforms can clearly be seen. The rifles themselves look nice as well, and the smoke effects that elude from the rifles during the fights are blissful to see. Again, for the moment, not a whole lot is possible. The most you could do are a few skirmishes here and there with the infantry. As said before, what will make this mod stand the test of time are updates, and I hope to see more in the future, including artillery, more infantry, more buildings, and props to be added to the map or for the editor, and maybe even cavalry support. There is a horse mod, I believe, for ArmA 3, though I'm not entirely aware of how decent that one works for the game. Maybe also in the future, some other creator can make a US Civil War mod, which I would love to see in ArmA 3. For our third item, we take a look at the awesome Half-Life 2 missions made by the paramedic. Though originally I wanted to talk about the first mission, by now I have played the second one as well, so I thought I might as well put both in for reference. Paramedic continues to release mission after mission at a breakneck speed. After mostly focusing on horror and zombie missions, I was glad to see that he varied things up with the use of the Half-Life 2 mod. The Half-Life 2 mod has actually been out for ArmA 3 for quite a long time, but the problem with it, like so many mods, is that it's just not a very big mod. It has no map support and offers just a few infantry and vehicles. Because of this, mission support for this mod has always been low, and in a sense, I believe the mod was kind of forgotten about over time. That is, until Paramedic resurrected it and made these awesome single-player missions loosely based on the story of Half-Life 2. The brilliant thing that was done here was to blend the Half-Life 2 units with the Chernarus Redux map, which fits in perfectly in the Half-Life 2 universe, with already providing the mission creator with tons of props and buildings set in place to give you the feeling of a withered city. The first mission will feel more like a walking simulator, but viewers by now know that I love these types of missions in ArmA 3, if they are done well, that is. It just gives time to soak up the atmosphere and appreciate all the units and props placed by the creator. That's why I also love the first mission in the Zombie Outbreak series so much by the Frankster. The first mission has you walking around a city in Chernarus labeled here as City 17, as dialogue and sound cues straight from Half-Life 2 get you in the mood of things. You know as well as anyone that things will soon start to escalate. Just as in the actual game, you will find yourself on the rooftops shortly after, running away from the Combine that shoot at you from the ground level. The cool thing here is that you are actually being threatened and are in danger as the units are actually shooting at you, and you have a chance that you get one hit killed. The second mission, labeled Old Friends, immediately starts where the mission left off as you meet your crew of friends like Alex, Kleiner, and Barney. After of course having some trouble with the teleporter, which actually works in ArmA 3 as well, you are forced to flee and finally take up arms against a Combine. Once again, the Chernarus Redux is such an atmospheric and beautiful backdrop for all the fights that break out. It's cool to experience the battles from Half-Life 2 with the realism from ArmA 3. I was able to kill Combine by penetrating bullets through their defense, and died multiple times by a single headshot. It really changed the way I approached the battles compared to Half-Life 2. Furthermore, the mission eventually leads up to you battling zombies, and even taking a familiar vehicle out of town for a cool sequence at the finish. The awesome thing about this mod is also the buzz that it created around it. Since it got released, there have been multiple missions have been made stating on the creator's page that they were inspired by these missions by Paramedic. I personally believe one can never have too many ArmA 3 custom missions, especially in such a niche mod environment like Half-Life 2, and encourage, therefore, more people to create stories and missions in this setting. I was also pleased to find out that some creators started to add more props and models to the Half-Life 2 mod for the use in the editor for creators. Combine and Citadel props have been added, and hopefully soon we will see a headcrab zombie model. I already vouched for this during the initial release of the Half-Life 2 mod, since implementing that does not seem too difficult to me. We already have multiple zombie mods out there, so changing the model should not prove too big of a challenge. By now, the Old Friends mission has also been updated to support 4-player co-op, but I hadn't had a chance to check that out yet. For our final topic, we take a look at the detective horror mission Rhyme With Me by the creator Alkanet. Alkanet has made some really impressive horror-focused story missions in the past, including the Doctor Who-inspired Moving Statues mission that are really fun to do in co-op. But Rhyme With Me suits me better personally, as I'm a big fan of detective games, and lo and behold, this mission makes you and your buddies actual detectives, signed with solving a murder case. The cool thing is that it doesn't start out as a horror mission initially, and you are often tasked with finding clues around the crime scene. The neat thing here is that all the clues turn out to be the items with some custom textures and hints within the screens that are shown to tell you more about the story, victim, or who might have done it. The story revolves entirely around Kavala, and so you are never forced to move too far for a distance when you need to move to a different location like a police station or an abandoned factory. Some pretty good use is made of the horror mod, and the mission is plentiful with dialogues and cutscenes. It eventually takes a turn for the worse as you indeed get into some gruesome horror territory, but does offer a very cool segment that happens at the church. The mission comes to a very original conclusion that unfortunately does not work perfectly. It was a bit glitchy, and the objective that you were tasked with was really difficult to do with the poor visibility. All in all though, I can recommend checking this mission out and bring a friend or two to make it a bit more interesting. And with that, we have come once again to the end of this week's ArmA Mods Weekly. I'm glad that we are back on the regular schedule on Monday. Don't forget to let me know of any mods or missions that you would like me to discuss on this series as well in the comments down below. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with friends and the ArmA community. See you all next time.